We are going to now hear some words of Torah from Rabbi Andy Feig. This will be a reflection on the Haftarah that we just heard and will help guide us into the prayers that follow. Our teacher and our friend, Rabbi Andy Feig.
Thank you. Shana Tova. Julie and I first met Hirsh when he was around 10 months old. Julie and I were trying to figure out the exact timing after looking at old photos from an album we made close to 23 years ago. The photos picture Julie holding our firstborn, Ella, and Rachel Goldberg holding Hirsh. The other photo pictured me holding Ella and John Poland holding Hirsh. We had known John and Rachel since we lived in Chicago. John was a close friend of my brother growing up, and after college became a roommate of ours while living in Wrigleyville. John started dating Rachel while Julie and I were dating, and we became close friends. We all hung out together in those days, but there were more memorable moments, especially when Rachel's mother invited us for Shabbat dinners. Years later, we made the move to the West Coast, John and Rachel to Berkeley, and Julie and me to Los Angeles. We kept in touch, visiting each other every so often. They eventually made Aliyah to Israel. Over the years, I would visit Israel each year with our school's 8th graders, and I would always make a plan to stop by and visit the family or get a beer with John. Our entire family traveled ahead of Ella's 8th grade Israel trip and had dinner at the Goldberg Poland's home. The last time we saw the family was at the Kotel just over 2 years ago at my brother's son's bar mitzvah. Fast forward to the morning of Simchat Torah, October 7th, 2023. Much like this week, Julie and I were glued to the news, only to learn that later that morning, Hirsh was taken hostage from the Nova Music Festival. From that day forward, we witnessed a transformation in our friends. Always loving and supporting parents, Rachel, a devoted and passionate Jewish educator, and John, a creative and innovative entrepreneur, now dedicated their busy lives to make Hirsh a household name the world would not forget. They transformed their passion and creativity into what became a crusade to humanize a situation and a context that was consumed by numbers and statistics. Their efforts cut through the noise of political commentary and social division and appealed to our parenthood, to our human sensibilities and sensitivities, and to the Torah's ideal of B'Tselem Elohim, seeing the divine in every person. They show that the love a parent has for their child knows no limits, boundaries, or borders. Through this crusade, the world got to know them and through them, their son. Yehuda Kurtzer calls this the ethics of familiarity in his Identity Crisis podcast. He said, "For many of us American Jews, we may not have known Hirsh, but we kind of feel like we do because the stories told about him resonate with our sense of our own kids. I think, moreover, they showed the world that there is humanity on both sides of this conflict, something many forgot in the weeks following that fateful day in October. Devastatingly, last month, Hirsh was killed with 5 other hostages. It felt like October 7th all over again. The feeling of loss, of helplessness, and hopelessness seemed to cloud over us yet again. First the news, then the funeral, and the Shiva. Rachel and John again transformed from relentless advocates to grieving, angry, and obliterated parents, as John described how they were feeling in a text to Julie. My brother traveled to Israel to visit and sit with John and Rachel and their extended family. They held each other and cried. We just chanted the Haftarah from the prophet Jeremiah. Jeremiah's words echo Rosh Hashanah's themes of Zikaron and Rachamim, remembrance and mercy, reminding us that today is Yom Hadin, the day of judgment. We ask God to remember our deeds and judge us with compassion as we enter into the new year. Yet this passage of Jeremiah also includes 2 other themes, that of the pain and despair felt by the Jewish people, while at the same time holding the promise of redemption, the promise of a more hopeful future. It's haunting how these verses call out from the past, seizing us almost to the day that this entire ordeal took place 1 year ago. Thus said God, a cry is heard in Ramah, wailing, bitter weeping. Rachel weeping for her children. She refuses to be comforted for her children who are gone. The Rachel mentioned here, of course, is the Torah's matriarch, Rachel. The late, brilliant Torah and Talmud scholar Rabbi Adin Steinsaltz, commenting on this verse, says, Rachel, who did not have an easy life, is the personification of the weeping mother of Israel. She suffered when she was childless and when she gave birth to her sons, and she can understand the pain, bereavement, and loneliness of her descendants. She refuses to be consoled for her children, for the people or each and every child who are not here. I feel that our friend Rachel Goldberg-Polin has been carrying this mantle, representing, epitomizing the weeping mother who refused to be consoled because she held out hope for the return of her baby. The text in Jeremiah continues, Thus said God, restrain your voice from weeping, your eyes from shedding tears, for there is a reward for your labor, declares God. They shall return from the enemy's land. And there is hope for your future, declares God. Your children shall return to their country. Jeremiah's prophecy compels us to not relent, to not give up hope. The Torah's Rachel and our Rachel Goldberg-Polin galvanize the world to stir God's compassion and to stir the compassion in all of us to remain resilient in our hope. Rachel and John reminded us that at Hirsh's funeral and in their messages since, they still believe that a different outcome is possible for those remaining in captivity. That hope for a resolution of the conflict can be found soon, and that parents will once again reunite with their children. The families will be again made whole, and that lives will be saved through a peaceful resolution. When my brother came home from the Shiva, he shared the following story with Julie and me. He first reminded us that when Hirsh was born, he got a little teddy bear, and that the family said looked like my brother. The family called it John Feig Bear. Hirsh and John Feig Bear went everywhere together in those early years, and it remained a fixture in his room as well as a nostalgic symbol of their friendship. After waiting in line among the thousands who had come to console John, Rachel, Orly, and Libby, my brother John finally got to sit and talk with the family. Rachel said to him, John Feig Bear is slumped over now. My brother replied, in time, John Feig Bear will sit up just a little straighter.